Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome back. I really apologize for the technical difficulties. So, again, the title of this lesson, or this talk, we're going to be discussing the male's role in conception when it comes to a female, dealing with the man's sperm, of course. We're going to discuss the conspiracy with the mutilation of the brown woman in so-called Africa. And we're going to also be discussing how the Yoni baths, the Yoni steams are not good for us. So, we should not be putting anything inside of ourselves, inside of our vaginas. All we need is just clean water. I stopped using soaps about a year ago because if all soaps have lye in them, even the so-called natural soap. So, that's poisonous. Nothing out there is good for us. Ladies, if you're using any kind of pads or tampons, that stuff, it's all no good. These are the things that are causing cancer. But definitely, you don't need soap to get your body clean. Our bodies produce oils naturally. And so when water and oil they don't mix. So, of course, when you take a shower, the water just rinses the dirt right off of you. You don't need soap to do that. As far as deodorant, all of that stuff is poisonous as well. All you need is some lime. So I use lime a couple times a week, and that does my body good. But in reference to, what we're going to be discussing today, for myself personally, I came up in the church. I was always taught, that a woman is to remain quiet. The female is basically the footstool, that I came from the rib of a man, and for so many years and for so long for myself personally, I believed that. And of course, my ancestors before, and we've just been completely brainwashed. So, went from the whole Christianity thing into the Hebrew Israelite, and all praise Asha, she has brung me to the light. And so now I understand that all life comes through the womb and out of rib. Everybody that has ever existed came through the womb of a woman. From the research that we've done, Adam was Eve's son and not her husband. And so I say that to say, even today, we are sexing our sons, ladies. From the research that I've done, again, the whole sex thing is not needed to conceive children. The scriptures declare sex is a sin, according to the book of Leviticus, chapter 15. For myself personally, and what I am experiencing with my pregnancy, which is going on 12 months, I didn't sleep with the man to become pregnant. So I know for a fact that females have been able to conceive. We are asexual beings without the sperm of a man. We've learned and we know, what they teach us in science class. Well, the female body, the immune system, or the female, her body kills the sperm, and then they say that only one sperm survives, and I've questioned that. Well, if our body is killing the sperm of men, how can only one survive? So we got a special guest coming on today, our sis Monique Joe, and she's going to explain from her research and from how Asha has dealt with her and shown her how conception happens with the man and what is the purpose of a man's sperm. So let's see if sis is ready to go. We did need a little bit more time. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, I want to extend the invite. If you don't know about it, if you do know about it, I hope you guys are planning to attend the Return of the Matriarch retreat in Punta Gorda, Belize this December. We are still in the process of organizing the transportation. We wanted to make it a group trip where we could explore the land all at one time, and basically take a bus from Texas to Belize, and of course a bus from Belize back to Texas. So we're still working out the details, but I hope you guys are saving up for that, and planning to come, and, even if that whole plan falls through, that you will still come. So Angel says, the purpose of men's sperm is to drink it. Oh, you being funny. Shalom, Empress. So Monique is getting ready to join us. She is going through some things herself, and his, is out in California, just taking out some time for herself. And really, each and every one of us needs to do that at some point in our life. Both the men and the women. We need to take out time for ourselves and really evaluate what we have been taught, what we are, what we're learning even. Is it the truth, or is it another lie that's been told by his story? So, I just want to really encourage our brothers and sisters, because we don't have really nobody but ourselves. And, when we are speaking the truth, dealing with the male female anatomy, this is not to bash men. I know even my husband, he feels, he gets into his feelings, because men are a mutation of females. A man's penis is an elongated clitoris, and a man's testicles are ovaries that have descended. So he always tells me, don't let them kill me, and he's joking, but, it bothers him to, I guess, not be in his pure form, which, we're all females, quote unquote. And that's not to promote any type of homosexual behavior, or push our men to be with other men, or say that it's okay to be gay or anything like that. We're just teaching the truth as we learn it, and, are able to verify it and confirm it. Indeed, China, we definitely look forward to having you all. I was speaking to Monique today, and she was basically putting me up on game about, the whole conspiracy that's going on in Africa with them sewing up the females' vaginas, and how they're covering up the fact that these females have elongated clitorises themselves. And so they're kind of putting the men to shame, with hanging clits. And so the country, or whoever's running the show, they're trying to cover up this fact that men are a mutation of women. And I know the word mutation is not so friendly of a word. I don't mean any harm by it. That's just the best way that I can put it, so that you can have a thorough understanding on, what it's all about. So, we were also talking about the whole Yoni baths, which I mentioned in the beginning. And, females, they have now the beads and the pearls that you can put into your vagina, and it's supposed to do some type of cleanse, but our vaginas are very, very sensitive, and we have to be careful what we insert into our vaginas. And as I was mentioning in the beginning, all we need is just clean water. You don't have to, and a clean diet, because what you put into your body, it matters, and many of us, we don't have a clean diet. For myself, I stopped eating meat almost 2 years ago. Immediately, well, I consider it immediately, about 8 weeks later, here I had lost 50 pounds, just naturally, no exercising, no drugs or over-the-counter this or smoothie that. It was just by cutting out meat, because meat, or the fat on our bodies, is animal fat from all the meat that we're eating. So want to encourage you guys. Shalom, Empress. Peace. I know you say you needed more time, so you take your time and, chime in once you get settled in. She says, Angel says, do you claim to be convicted from lesbianism? I've dated women for half of my life. Being convicted, it was what made me repent and turn away. So, I did this last February. This is totally off topic, but since you're bringing it up, I had never really had a desire to be with a man, or didn't desire penetration from a man. And so I figured, why be with one? I was attracted to women, and that's what lit my fire at the time. But I had started to become convicted and started feeling like I was going to die, and like I was, I had to turn away. And so I'm glad that I did, because me being myself, is what's going to enable me to fulfill my destiny. You know, I can't blame anyone for my actions. I do speak on the fact that my mom, she was sleeping with women while she was pregnant with me. And that's very important, ladies. When you're pregnant, everything that you do and everything that you are is being passed along to your child. And so, there is a chance that whether you're dealing with depression or you're dealing with homosexuality or you're, whatever it is, it will definitely be passed along to the child. And so it's important that our vessels are clean when we are conceiving these children because they are a gift from a Shah. So we want the best for them. We want the best for our children. And we should want the best for ourselves. Indeed, it is amazing. Shalom, Monique, whenever you're ready to chime in, Empress, I'm just going to keep talking. And, Monique is going to bring an understanding of the male-female anatomy, which is one and the same. She's going to bring an understanding from a metaphysics point of view, which is basically the origin of a thing. Again, life comes through the womb and not a rib. And for so long, I've even called myself, before I came into this knowledge, called myself claiming to be the rib of a man. I'm his rib. And it's crazy. All right, well, go ahead and and join us, Monique. We're definitely ready to hear what you have to say. I hope everybody's all right. I hope all is well. I hope you guys had a beautiful day today. A successful day today. I want to introduce to you guys my good friend, my sister, our sister, Monique Joe. It says that it's inviting you, Monique. So I'm not sure what that means. It did give me a notification to add you to the talk. Shalom, Sheila, thanks so much for joining us again. It's just saying that it's inviting you. I'm not sure if it's frozen. I'm gonna X out of it, and if you can do it again, Monique, let's see if we can get it going. Shalom Nakaba. Is it Nakaba or Nakaba? Thanks, Sheila. It says that it's connecting. Okay, let's try it one more time because I X'd out of it, Monique. So maybe we need to do it one more time and I won't touch it. We'll just wait till until it connects. If you see the icon, if you can add yourself again. Nakaba. Nakaba. Yeah, guys. So I mean, this whole patriarchal system, it got us really messed up, and we have truly lost all knowledge, or we had lost all knowledge of who we are, where we come from, what the truth really is. But all praise Asha, we are, you know, coming back into the know of things, and so that we can get our house in order personally. And once we have ourselves together personally, then we can definitely make a big impact on our people as a whole and do our parts. Once everybody finds themselves and, what your purpose is, because everybody that's alive today, the scripture says, those that are alive in the last days are more favored than those who came before. So we have the ability to operate in an unmeasurable amount of power. We have the power, you know. Every single nation that exists on this earth, they came from the brown man and woman. Me personally, I know for a fact that so-called Africans and the so-called Negro, okay, Monique, is connected. We are not the same people. It says that the connection fell. Let's try it again one more time, Monique. I'm inviting you from my end, and let's see what happens. But the so-called Negro and African people, we are not the same people. All nations come from us. So that means that we created them. Hey, how are you, beautiful? Shalem, can you hear me?
I'm fine. Can you see me? Yeah, I can hear you. You can see me?
Yes, I can. I can. How you
Oh, okay.
doing?
I'm fine. So, I mean,
Well,
can I not see anybody?
can you see the people that are chiming in to watch? It's not really anybody leaving any comments right now,
No, I don't see
but
anything. It's like kind of strange on my end. It's just say your name and then it's just say follow, notification, and this
you
video
can't
has
see if
ended.
anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna screenshot
Okay,
this
okay.
because I'm telling you, this is strange. Everything is strange. Me trying to connect. Well, maybe it's just meant to be this way. Instead of me seeing everybody, they can just see me. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, so you won't get because I don't want you to. I want man, like our conversations, just the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding when we have these conversations, it's like mind blowing. You know,
Hmm.
how what you know and how you're breaking this thing down and bringing it full circle. So
Right.
I'm gonna be quiet and let you take it away.
Well, actually, I don't want to lecture or anything like that. What I want to do is just whatever you want me to touch on, I'll just touch on it because some things is not for everybody.
I understand.
So,
Well,
go ahead.
the first thing that I was definitely interested in, and once you were speaking about it today, it was making sense to me when you said that a man's sperm, because a female's egg is 46 chromosomes,
Hmm.
whereas the DNA of a man is 23, or it's 46, but it's half and half, whereas a female is complete, a man is incomplete. So you were saying that basically what a man's sperm does is knock out 23 of the female's chromosomes, and replaces it with his own.
Right, to carry
So
on
I
his
just wanted
generation.
you to, right. So I wanted you to expound on that because, I always said that a man's sperm has nothing to do with it, with the conception of a child. And then we also know that females, they store the sperm of all the men that they've slept with in their brains. So, just wanted you to share with us
Just touch
what
on
you
that stuff.
know and what you know to be the truth.
Okay, well, let's just start with the chromosome. Women have 46 chromosomes in their eggs, and men in their sperm only carries 23. And the reason being is because we're complete beings. Our chromosome is a complete X, two complete X's. Men only have one complete X, which is his mother's, and then he has the Y, which is a broken X. So basically, it's an incomplete X. So the implications are sometime during the past, men had complete chromosomes, but something happened, and then the mutation came in place, and that's why it's not complete. So you have two short legs at the top, you have the centrifuge, and then you have the long legs at the bottom. They're missing the long legs. You just have the centrifuge, and then you have half of the short legs, which is all that they have and inside of that you have the double helix, which is the DNA code. So the mitochondria, which is the first X, comes from his mother. So the thing is, the male carries the mitochondria of his mother. That's just what implications are. Like, let's just say somebody, raped a woman, and they found the sperm in her. And let's just say they ran in the database and then they came up with a woman. So when they find that woman, the first thing the cop is going to ask is, "Where's your son?" Because they know it didn't come from a woman because it was semen. It came from a man, and they traced it back to her because they traced it her mitochondria. So the thing about when you get pregnant, like you said, when you conception is grown through the eggs. Now the sperm just activates. Once the sperm comes into the body, And one sperm, just one single sperm, goes inside the egg. And when it goes inside the egg, it has an effect where it activates, it disables the MPF fluid that keeps our eggs dormant, that keeps our eggs lying dormant. So that's why virgin birth is possible, because whatever they do, it can be mimicked. But the thing about it is something complete growing versus something that's incomplete growing. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so the whole point is this: the one sperm goes on the inside. It disables 23, and it replaces it with its generations, is what I call it, with its chromosomes, and that's why it carries on the father's generation. So that's why you can have a boy, which the boys will carry the mutation from his father, and then the girl does not carry the mutation. Now she does have two X's, which she gets one X from. The first X is always the mother. But the second X in the female is half from her mother and half from her father's mother. That's the mitochondria that she carries inside of her. So, like, say, for instance, like if you had a son and your son was killed and some woman came along talking about she want to prove that the child is your son, they'll come to me. They won't go to the father. They'll come to the mother because they know it's through the mitochondria. Like in your DNA, start examining that, and then you'll come to an understanding about how things work, and then also how significant of a role that you play in conception. Because the thing is, the general consensus is that only the sperm creates a baby. That's not true. The sperm just activate. We had virgin birth way before the conception, the way of conceiving now. So the thing is, that's just basically how it works. So it disabled the one sperm, disabled the 23, and then you carry on his generations. That's what happened. But as far as keeping the egg from growing, you know how that sperm just dance around the egg or whatever the case might be. That's the disabling factor. And then it starts to grow at that point. And then when it starts growing, it opens up for that one sperm to get in there. And then next thing you know, it disables 23 because it carries this mechanism inside of it that creates that. And so it disables 23, and then next thing you know, his generations is carried on. So it replaces itself, it replaces the 23 chromosomes with his chromosomes. But that replacement is from a woman, his mother. That replacement is from
So,
his mother.
so
So the thing
basically,
about it,
you're
what
saying
happens?
that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically saying that a man's DNA is that of his mother.
Right. His mitochondria is that of his mother's. And if you don't believe me, any man can go get a DNA test done and ask them, and then the mitochondria in his body will be identical to his mother. And that's how I
So
go
now,
look at your child support. Look at those DNA tests that they get from child support, because anybody have them, they're supposed to give it to you. If not, so anybody can request it, and then you can have a genetic counseling where you can sit there and they can explain how it works and say, okay, well, whose DNA is this? What is this? What is that? They'll tell you all these markers. Even the man, he can go in there too. Because especially if he's a father, he can say, well, I want the counseling so you can explain to me how this works. And they're going to explain to them because these are scientists. They don't have no bias. They don't care about religion or anything else. They're going to tell you the truth.
right. So now for females who conceive without the sperm of a man, how does the egg become activated?
Well, the egg is activated through a electrical process. And then also too, you have to use like a mono, a single element in your body. So I believe, like back in the day, like now, rich people eat gold. That's a mono element, single. So they'll have like chocolates and stuff like that with gold, and then maybe copper or something like that within the body. And then there's an electrical source, and she can create that electrical source just by her dancing or something like that, or whatever the case might be, because you know, in the motion of having sex or whatever the case might be, the general way, or with a man, it's like a heat that happens. And the same thing can be generated within her body. She has to be clean. Her body has to be in a purified state. She has to come up off this bullshit ass food. And then the thing about it, she has to have a mono element in her body. Now, when they did cloning or whatever the case might be, when they did it with animals, they used a calcium, some type of pure calcium that they use, and then they use an electricity source or whatever. But anyway, so that's what they use when they did Dolly the Sheep, because basically that's all it is. It's just basically a clone, but you'll still have. When people think of clones, they just think of the person is going to be an exact replicate of you. So that's the thing about women that's so powerful. It's not going to be a direct replica of you. It's just going to be, it's going to be
A
exact
piece
in
of you.
DNA. Yeah, it's going to be a
Mm.
piece of you, but it's still going to be you, but it's going to still have its own, way, because the thing about it, the baby still has to grow up. So it's not like the baby's going to come out and all of a sudden, like how they show you on TV, oh, it's a grown woman. I have a daughter who looks just like me, exactly like me. She's 13.
So
So
now,
go ahead.
so with the cloning, are you saying that that they all clones are basically starting out as children? They don't have,
Hmm.
because from some research that I did, some of the clones were already adult, like they can grow clones in 6 months. And what are they using? Are they using the artificial womb? What type of DNA is it? A sperm, or is it just the whole concept of the just the egg alone, and inciting it with some type of um, like you said, the element, the gold or the copper. How is this whole cloning process? How does that work?
Well, okay, again, I don't really know too much about how, people producing people, so I hear about those type of things, but I just don't have any concrete information on that. But what I can tell you is when they cloned the sheep, they did it within her belly. So she actually gave birth. They only used three females and they gave birth, and she gave birth to an actual baby, a baby sheep, and then it grew up or whatever the case might be. But right now, and right here, like a woman, she has the baby. That baby's gonna dwell within her womb, because the thing is, the baby still need a blood source. That's what our uteruses are. They are a blood source, and that's why we don't have a menstrual when we are pregnant. So, or some women have overabundance of fluid within their bodies. So the thing is, you know what I'm saying? They have a menstrual while they're pregnant. So it's just all kinds of different situations. But as far as having virgin birth, honey, you're gonna have that baby out of your belly. That baby's gonna be born through you, just like all the other babies that are, but they just gonna be born complete. And then people, just complete beings, just have to understand their power. Once they understand their power, they can move forward. Because again, once upon a time, men had a complete chromosome. XX didn't just mean female back in the day; it just meant complete being. Because everybody came from a woman, but something happened and the mutation was created. And then also, too, people need to start looking up or start getting involved with what's called epigenetics, because the thing is, it'll tell you all the implications everywhere on how you can correct certain behaviors within the people, just by understanding how imprints on your genes happen. Like they talk about that post-traumatic slave, whatever the case might be, and that's why we keep repeating all these bad behaviors, because it's certain imprints on our genes, and it's not necessarily something that has to happen to you. Let's just say your great grandmother kept getting raped as a slave woman, or if she was cleaning the house or whatever it was. And then the thing about it, that imprint keeps going down all her daughters until it's corrected. And so that's the thing about anything. That's why I said all consciousness is birthed through the womb. It is through the womb that everything is going to happen, because women can breed in and breed out things. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody. Several people, that I'm telling, the woman is very powerful.
Indeed. So now
Yeah.
with the XX man, what's the difference between an XX man and an XY man?
Well, the XY man is incomplete, so that means he's missing components in his body. The XY man, he has a uterus. It's called the prostate. It's just incomplete. That's why it's like, anyway. And then also too, if you look at when they go get their prostate exam, when they go up in their rectum, whatever the case might be, it looks just like the bottom of the cervix. You take the cervix and you
Wow.
take the prostate. Take two pictures. Go on Google. Just Google the pictures, whatever the case might be. It's the same. And then also too, it secretes. It secretes like how our vagina secretes fluid. That prostate does the same thing. It secretes a fluid. So it's like all kinds of implications here. It really do. So the thing is, a man's asshole is different from a woman's. Seriously.
Right. Their
So
G spot is in their ass, right?
exactly, that's their prostate. Same thing, the prostate. So when they start doing research on it, and then black men, they really don't get as many exams. They're dying from prostate cancer. But see, the thing about it, I don't know what type of men they are, but it's just basically an incomplete womb. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, the end of it is the just like the end of our cervix, but it's like a G spot. Then something happens where it twists in like that, whatever the case might be, especially when they close up, because everybody starts off as female first. And this is general when you look at how babies grow and when they start from the beginning to the end. And then once it has, if it's it has the Y chromosome as a boy, what happens is once it goes up that double helix, and then it gets to the end, it's called an anatomy calls it starts to fail. So when it fails, then this burst of testosterone comes, and then what happens is the whole womb stops growing, and that's why it turns into that prostate. It's like a perfect design, but yet it's a perfect design, as far as the mutation is doing what the mutation is supposed to do. So it creates, and then so the scrotum closes up, because where the scrotum is located is where the makeshift vagina is. And let me tell you something, no boy is born with balls. Anybody who had a baby,
What?
you know what I'm saying? No boy is born with balls. The nuts, like say for instance, when the boy is born, it comes down like a day after he's born. And so the hospital, they'll check him and say, okay, his scrotums fail. So how they come from his stomach, which is his fallopian tubes that weren't incomplete, and they ascend down into the sac. So what is it ascending through? And then when you kick a man right there, it goes up in something. What is it going into? What is it coming out of? That's where their vagina is. And then their balls with this
What?
line right there. Yeah, just look up anatomy, honey. Just look up anatomy, and you'll see this is how it works. This is how their
I was
body
gonna
is
ask
made.
you. Wow. So I was gonna ask if the man's anus is the same as the woman's vagina, but you
No.
said the
Mm-mm.
actual nut sack is what's covering, because
Mm-hmm.
they still have the opening,
Right.
just
It's
like we
still
do
there.
for the vagina. So you're saying that's where the balls go up into the opening of what would be a vagina when if
Right.
they were to get kicked in it.
Exactly. And then also too, when people get surgery and all that, they know these things. So, you know what I'm saying? That's all I got to say on that subject. But they know these things. But the thing about it, so
Just bear with us, guys. The feed is coming in and out. Or maybe it's just fake book. Going on is some technical difficulties. But just to go to a couple of the comments and questions, Coffee, you say the physical genetic relationship between men and women that you subscribe to, I find do agreeable. And from my readings over the years, immaculate conceptions does occur in nature. However, I disagree with your explanation or fully formed fetuses are in the female's womb. If this were to be, so an ultrasound inside of every woman would reveal a fetus, which is not the case. I mean, when women go in for abortions, they're a couple weeks pregnant. That fetus is completely formed. That didn't happen in 2 weeks from a sperm so-called fertilizing it. Our eggs are fully formed fetuses. And like I said, abortions are proof of that. A female find out she's pregnant, boom, she's having that abortion, and the fetus is fully formed. It didn't happen from a sperm so-called fertilizing it. Just answering some of the questions. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We're going to get Monique back on. Sheila asked, what about women who have C-sections? Sheila, we'll definitely get Monique to respond to that question. Coffee says, also, if semen, which fertilizes a woman's egg, is not doing that, then why do XY humans produce 23 chromosomes? Okay, here we go. She's coming back, guys. Give me one moment. Let's get her back on.
all right, I'm here.
Hey,
I'm back.
Monique. Sorry about that. Difficulties. We do have a few questions, if you don't mind addressing. The first
Okay.
one is dealing with a female having a C-section. how does all of that
Okay.
work, you know, in regards
How how
to
did
delivery
how does it happen?
and so on and so forth? Well, how does
Well,
it
I
work
mean,
in terms of what we're discussing?
okay, well, C-section is just basically a mechanism that was developed because women start having problems when we start getting all broke down in life. So the thing is, we were superior beings, and if you're superior, you don't have to go through these type of complications, especially with the foods we're eating. It's changing our bone structure because some women who have C-sections is because they can't open up. They don't have what they call childbearing hips. They're not wide or whatever the case might be, or the baby didn't turn. The baby is in some type of Frank breech position where the baby, the legs and the head is up, or a regular breech where the feet are down and the head is up. Or maybe she's in trouble where she has that high blood pressure problem, whatever the case might be. So it's different reasons. There's nothing wrong with a C-section. It's just a surgical um, procedure to get the baby out, basically, as far as that.
Okay.
But how they do it is
Now,
based.
coffee,
All right, go ahead.
right? No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say the only thing they do is just they cut the belly and they cut the bottom of the uterus. And then that's why some women are limited. They only supposed to be limited to 3 C-sections because once they keep cutting on that organ like that, it begins to become damaged. And then it has to, then also you have to give it time to heal, especially if it has been cut.
Mhm.
It takes
Right.
2 years actually for it to actually heal. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Now, Coffee asks, or maybe it's Kofi, he says, also if semen, which fertilizes a woman's egg, is not doing that, then why do XY humans produce 23 chromosomes?
Okay. I'm telling you, we really need to read our anatomy and understand how our bodies work. It's not fertilizing. It's okay. The fertilization process is an activation process. It's not really like bringing anything to the table because the table is already there. It's you have this complete egg that's there, and this sperm comes in. It just basically one gets on the inside. When the sperm dances around it, it disables this fluid that keeps our eggs dormant. The same effect can be mimicked by, like I said, taking a mono element and then an electrical source. You know what I'm saying? And sweating and maybe a meditation or whatever the case might be to bring it on. But once the sperm start dancing around it's MPF, metaphase. A metaphase factor that's what keeps our eggs dormant from growing or whatever the case might be. Because the thing is, once a female is born, she's born with her eggs, and then the eggs they'll grow to a point with her. Because remember, she's a baby, and they'll grow with her, and then they'll just stop because this hormone will come in and make them lie dormant. And this has nothing to do with sex, whatever anything or anything like that. That's just how it works, whatever the case might be. And then as she go through puberty, and puberty is just basically her releasing the eggs. And she has her menstrual. If she has one, the eggs is released. And if there's no fertilization or activation going on, what happens is the lining is shedded through the uterus because the uterus builds up this lining. And then if there's no fertilization happening, then the lining is shed and it's secreted through the walls, and that's why we have our menstrual. So the thing is, that's how it works. But anyway, so to answer the question about okay, now what was the second part about the chromosomes? Yeah, so
Right, the humans produce 23 chromosomes. Why are they incomplete? What, and you mentioned that something happened. I guess,
yeah,
he
activation.
wants more specifics on what happened.
Okay, well, it's an activation that happens. The sperm, okay, again, like I said, once the food is disabled, it starts to grow. I'm telling you. And then once it opens up, the one sperm goes in. I know they show you all this stuff on TV or whatever the case might be, these programs or YouTube or whatever. But the thing is, the one sperm goes in and it does its job. If it's an XX sperm, it becomes a female. If it lines up, or whatever the case might be. If it's an XY sperm, then it'll do its job also, but it'll just create. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
still
so
we're still
so
here.
he right. So it goes in, it disables 23 of the 46 that the egg is already complete with 46 chromosomes. But the sperm goes in, and because how it works, it disables it, and then it attaches itself to it, and then that's why she carries on his generations. his generations is his DNA, but the DNA still belongs to his mother, even though it dwells in his body. And see, that's the thing about it.
Right.
And then I know it sounds like, well, why did that happen? It happens is because, again, something happened, and they're not complete. Everybody, and when you talk about X-Men and all this and that, or whatever, the implications are there. So even men, when you look at the implications and look at what happened to it, it's an incomplete X. And so the thing about it is, if it's an incomplete X, once one point in time it was complete. So what was the implication? Were there men? Were there not men? Of course it was men. So that's why when we talk about enlarged clitorises and all these other things, or whatever the case might be, you know what I'm saying? Men were there. I mean, all the characteristics are there, but it started with the woman first, or the complete beings. So that's just
How
how it
did
works.
how did the men look? Were they still, what distinguished them from the female? You
Oh,
know,
okay.
because go ahead.
Okay, only thing that was different is the scrotum. The scrotum didn't fall. And then also too, the
I see.
sperm. The sperm was different because instead of carrying that many broken up sperm, they had like 7 seeds, or whatever the case might be, and that was their family juice. So what happened back in the past was these two complete seeds would come together and merge, and then an androgynous being was born. So everybody was born androgynous, whatever the case might be, and then they just grew up into their nature. But that's the implications, you know what I'm saying? And that's just, that's how it was back in the day. So now we have what you see today. But like I was saying to you, that we're going back to that. There are some men who
Indeed.
might have, like, they're not a general. Okay, like say this, you're looking at all these different Ys. They have some men who are being born where they have the complete short legs, but they're just missing the long legs at the bottom. Or you might have a male where he got the short legs at the top, but he got half of the long legs at the bottom. So that's a whole different
And you're
breed
referring
of
to the
male.
XXXY. Okay. And you're referring to the XXXY chromosomes, right?
Right, the
As far as
XY.
the long legs and the short legs. Okay, the
Right,
XY.
the
Sorry.
the Y chromosome.
Okay.
So basically, when you look at it and look at how it looks, that's just how it presents. Like the whole bottom is different, and then the top is cut in half. But behavior wise, let me tell you something. So what are some of the implications? The implications is this: a man's mind was different. His mindset was different. So he had capabilities that the women had. Like say for instance, like tetramancy, where women can see colors. And 12% of men are colorblind, or whatever the case might be. But what you have to have a complete XX chromosome to have tetramancy. That's basically seeing in color, seeing different colors, but also seeing in 3D, or whatever the case might be. But that's something that, seeing spirits, seeing energies and things like that. Women can do that now. That's the fourth cone in your eyes. So you're able to look out and you can see. We can have that now, but if you don't use it, you lose it. So there it was.
I see. So the majority of people have three cones in their eyes.
Yeah, they have the 3 cones: red, green, and yellow. But and then I mean red, blue, okay, green, blue, and red that they usually have, or whatever the case might be. But the yellow is the additional one. It's the one that's is only seen in women. But 12% of men are colorblind, so that means that they're blue or their green is not active, or whatever the case might be. And if because it's not active or whatever, they see stuff differently. They only see like blue and pink, but women can see way more colors. They can see all kinds of colors, but also they can see spirits and things like this. So that's why the woman is on a whole nother level. But guess what? We don't stand up, we don't lead. That's why women lead, men protect, because we're able to see. And then the thing about it, that's so funny that it seems like a lot of other people's they praise a woman in a way, and then the more a man praises woman, the more his race, lead or forge on. And people have to think about that. People have to really think about that. So if you beat down your woman, you basically beating down yourself, your generations, your ancestors, your future generations. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, it is the woman that
Right.
you're going to find a way, because all consciousness is birthed through her. All
Through the
consciousness
womb.
is through the womb. All consciousness is birthed through the woman. So the thing is, things are changing now. We're in the time of change. Especially the age has changed. So that
Yes.
means the energy has changed. So the energy has changed. So that means God is going to change. And God is going to change in a way on how things are implemented and given to us because guess what? The babies are born smarter. The babies are born with these consciousness that are different. Trust me, I know. I have children. So the thing is, their consciousness is different. So they see different. So guess what? They're probably being born complete. So you got boys are being born, girls are being born. But the thing about it is it doesn't mean that you want to go have sex with this person and this and that or whatever the case might be. That's not what that means. It just means that your consciousness is going to change. So that means your body is going to change. You're going to have capabilities that are different. That's why everybody's conscious. Everybody got power. Everybody can whatever it is that they do. You know what I'm saying? I work with all kinds of different people who can really do some things that I have bore witness to. So we are in that age now. So now you have these new babies, what they call them Generation Z. And when they come up, we're gonna really start seeing some things. And those are the ones that was born from 1998 on up. So, that's the new generation. So, you got the millennials and they're birthing these babies, and then it's all kinds of stuff that's trying to stop them from birthing these healthy babies. They need to get these babies, they need to put these babies on their breasts, and they need to keep their bodies clean. I'm telling you, you'll see something different, especially if you have a son. You know what I'm saying? Because your body
Yes,
creates a certain type of milk for him. It creates a special
yes,
milk to help him to thrive or whatever the case might be. And because they took that baby off, then that's why you have all these problems with these children today or whatever the case might be. But of course your daughters, but the son, it has this formula. It's because his body is lacking something. And the mama's compensating it through the milk. So the thing is they have to
yes.
get that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you were saying that they were intention. I know when we had a conversation, that they were intentionally leaving out, vital nutrients in the different
Mm-hmm.
formulas that they sell, like folic acid and stuff like that, to intentionally make sure that these children would not be healthy if you weren't breastfeeding.
Right.
If you're giving them these chemicals, that's not a good thing. But also one of the benefits, and Dominique Shalam member, she can attest, is when you ladies, when you have given birth and you breastfeed, it stops your menstrual. You don't have a menstrual.
Right.
So that's one of the benefits of breastfeeding. Even after you
Exactly.
give birth, you don't have a menstrual. So
And your
yeah, that's
stomach
pretty
gets
cool.
slim. And you lose weight and you
Yes,
can eat as much as you want.
yes,
You can
yes,
still
and
pick
that's the
out.
case for Dominique. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely. So do you have any more comments on um the whole, because we got, Kofi, he said that basically the egg of the woman is not a complete fetus. Can you elaborate on that?
He said what? The egg is not what?
The egg is not a complete fetus,
That,
as if to say that, it's only through the union of a sperm and an egg that a fetus begins to grow.
that's not true because we can have virgin birth. But when they're like, okay, when we have these, again, when the female child is born, she's born with her generations inside of her already. So as she goes from babyhood up till she gets to puberty, those eggs actually grow with her, and they are exact replicas of her eggs that's in her belly. So what happens is, again, once it's a hormone that comes over them to keep them lying dormant. So that means keeping them from growing to a whole nother level. So they are complete. They are complete. They are complete human beings. So I know they got different names for different levels, the ovum, the this, the that, then it turns into a fetus and all this and that, whatever the case might be. But the when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, to the lowest level, to when you look at it, they're complete beings already. They already have the complete chromosomes, just like we do, or whatever the case might be. But they try to tell you something different. And I know, again, people spread certain type of information, but the only thing we have to do is just take the time to do the studying, look at how genetics work, but also how our bodies work as women, and look at our own parts and say, okay, these are implications, because all anatomy, the point of reference of anatomy is the female body. So the thing is, if the female body is the point of reference for anatomy that fix up everybody, whatever the case might be, but they instead of giving you books with nothing but men in it, then you know what I'm saying, you wonder why there's a lot of misinformation about how we work.
Right,
That's the truth.
right,
So again,
right.
they're complete. And when you look at it on the smallest level, whatever the case might be, just like you can't even see a sperm. And then also too that our eggs is the biggest cell in our body, in the human body is our eggs. Yeah, it is. So the thing is
Nice.
that's power. And they're exact replicas
It
of
is
you.
powerful.
Yeah.
It is power. And I had mentioned that when the video had cut you off, that, when females go in to do abortions, those fetuses are complete. Whether she go in 1 week pregnant or,
Yeah.
a few months pregnant, the fetuses are complete already. And it didn't come from the interaction of a sperm and an egg. So, our eggs are already complete fetuses.
Yeah, they
Um,
are. They are. And then they show pictures of them and stuff like that. So they're babies already. And then they're growing babies. So usually when they go for an abortion, they're babies that's inside the womb already that's growing. So of course it's a human being that's on its way. But that's each woman's
yes,
decision on how she's going to deal with that, because the thing is that's something she has to deal with self. Because everything goes back to self.
indeed.
Because like I said, the consciousness is changing now, and we're in a time where, what I'm saying, we have to look at who we are and be able to move and forge
Yes.
forward by bringing the power out of ourselves. So what I'm saying, we have to learn to discern, because we living in a whole different time.
Yes, we are. We
Yeah.
are. So, wanted to touch on this topic. We were talking today, and you had mentioned how the Yoni steam baths are not healthy. We didn't talk much about the beads. I wanted you to talk about both the steam bath with the heat, and also the beads, and how dangerous they are to the female body.
The only thing I can say is this: putting in inserting anything inside of our vaginas, you're basically introducing your vagina to something, no matter what it is. And then second of all, the steam, like I was saying to you earlier, like women used to do dishing. Dishing is a chemical clean. Chemical cleans are not good. That's why women are having problems. Now steam is just a heat clean, and it's supposed to have herbs and all this type of stuff, but it's still a heat that goes up in there, and it creates a change in the environment. The vagina has its own natural mechanism to clean. You know what I'm saying? We just need water, whatever the case might be. We've been tricked into believing that we need all these other things, soaps and all this other stuff, whatever the case might be. But yet, and still at the same time, that diet plays a significant role in how a woman smells. Because the thing is, if you're eating
Indeed.
all this different meat, and you're going to smell like a goddamn farm, you know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and then you have to go clean yourself or whatever. Cause, and then also too, when sperm dies, just like anything else, it has an odor. Like a dead rat is over there jumping
Yes.
off, it stinks. So the same thing with sperm. And then that sperm is absorbed and becomes part of her makeup or whatever the case might be. Because anything that goes in our vagina, it gets absorbed. Because again, we birth more than babies. So once it's absorbed, whatever the case might be, that consciousness become part of that woman, and that woman can tug on any man. And then these men running around here wondering why what's wrong with them is that woman that you went raw in tugging on you, because you're gonna feel all her emotions, you're gonna feel all her stuff, her spirit, everything, because you chose to give away your DNA. And so it takes, and then
Wow.
everything has to go through the marrow, whatever the case might be. It takes about 6 months for it to go through the marrow,
For a
whatever.
woman to cleanse.
Yeah, for her to,
Wow.
to cleanse that from her body or whatever the case might be. But it also, when it comes through the marrow, it comes back out again, a new cell, but it becomes part of who she is. She absorbs that. So she has to release, purge
Now,
herself of that or whatever the case might be.
yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. So,
Hmm.
I had mentioned to you about the fact that women store a man's sperm in their brains. And so there have been cases where women have given birth to twins, but they've had two different DNAs. Do you
Mm.
want to elaborate on how that's possible, and how that is so?
Well, it's possible, like say for instance, like if you have fraternal twins, that means two different eggs. Two different eggs, she had two guys in the same week or something like that. Of course it's possible, because the thing is it takes, I think the sperm, I don't know, it lives 3 days or whatever the case, and you can have two different fathers. But if it's identical, it's only going to have one, because it's just one egg fertilized, and then the egg splits. It has its own code to do that or whatever, and that's through the woman or whatever. But as far as the fraternal twins, it's possible. So if she's that type of, lady, she likes to do that type of stuff, she can have two different fathers at the same time.
And so a female does store the DNA of a man in their brain. And so how you were saying that women kind of possess control over the men that they've slept with, is that because of the fact that they store a man's sperm in their brains?
Well,
Is that the reason why?
this is how it works. When she's having raw sex with a man, every time a woman has raw sex with a man and he ejaculates in her, that sperm goes inside of her. It goes through her cervix. It goes within the body, and this whole mission is to go to the cervix. I mean, go to the uterus and try to fertilize something, whatever the case might be. If there's no egg there, because the thing about it can be a time where there's no egg there, and if they reach and there's no egg, they just gonna die. You see what I'm saying? So once they die, she absorbs that. That's a blood source. Your uterus is a blood source, whatever the case might be, and it just get absorbed within her system, whatever the case might be, or her system of purging. And then it'll just go through her bloodstream, or whatever the case might be, but it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Then also too, it got viruses and all kinds of stuff in them. So that's why some women get that cervical cancer and stuff like that, and all kinds of other things that they be getting because of having raw sex or whatever the case might be. But the whole point is it becomes part of who she is. It becomes part of her makeup spiritually. She can be sending certain type of messages to the dude. She can, and then that's why some guys is crazy. Like I know a guy who just have a whole bunch of different types of sex, and then he just go crazy. And I just tell him, you know what I'm saying, stop fucking raw. Because the thing about it, you can get controlled because you release something into somebody who is a complete being who can control you. So the thing is, they just have to understand these implications and how these things work. And that's why with all this free for all, do this and do that, or whatever the case might be, they have to understand that they just giving themselves away. Because I mean, I tell my son, your body's precious too. You got to understand, you know what I'm saying? It's not about just as many women as you want, because every time you give a woman yourself, you giving her a part of you, and she can control you. It is what it is.
Wow. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the last topic that I wanted to discuss today was the whole conspiracy with this female mutilation over in Africa and why
Yeah,
that's happening.
yeah. Female
What's
circumcision.
going on over
Well, female circumcision is something that a lot of religious people practice. I mean, they practice it and say it's for religion. I don't even know which religion it's for, whatever the case might be. But we was actually on a topic of talking about women who have large genitals. You know what I'm saying? Large clitorises or whatever the case might be, because they come in all sizes, just like penises do. And so the thing about it is, I guess this was looked at as not desirable because, like in the porn industry, this is what people think all women look like, or whatever the case might be, because they throw that on TV or on a porn site and say this is how all women look, and that's not true. Some women are hung, some women are small, don't even non-existing, or whatever the case might be. But the thing is, they cut away their clitoris and then they sew them up and say that they just say it for all kinds of different reasons. You just have to look up on what their reasons are. Again, some plays a part in tradition, religion, blah, 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 whatever the case might be. So basically that's what they're doing with some people. But I just believe that in some instance that some women it was cut away because maybe an intimidation factor, maybe it's something that what they didn't want to reveal, you know what I'm saying? Because we were talking about Venus Hottentot, the lady Sarah Bartman. And then, she
there?
was the lady who had the real big booty, small waist, and then she went from Africa and she went to Europe, and she was deceived into believing that she was going to go up there and work, but end up, becoming a prostitute for Europeans. And with that, what I'm saying, and they just thought she was oversexed, and she wanted it because she had a very large clit that was very long, and her labias were very hung. And so, and then how her booty stood up or whatever the case might be, they just thought she was oversexed. And this lady was drinking, and she eventually committed suicide. And they just actually gave her body back just to, what's his name, Mandela. So it was a shame how they
Mm-mm.
treated her. But it was common in that village where she come from, that the women were built like that. And see, and then
You had mentioned,
hmm,
sorry, you had mentioned that her clitoris was 6 inches long.
6 inches. Just go
So
on
that's
any.
like the size of an average penis.
Yeah, you got women that's made like that. You really do. And you know what I'm saying? You got women here in America that's made like that, or whatever the case might be, and born like that. Women are different. Just like men are different, women are different too. So all this stuff about it's just a whole and this and that and that and this, that's not the case either. Because I mean, some women are different. I mean, when we go to the gynecologist office or whatever, they have three different um, spectrums they use to go up in. Okay, they feel first to see how deep you are, or whatever, and then they just get the one accordingly and they open you up. We all know that. So we got to start using common sense and coming to reality about how things work. And then once we come to reality about how things work, I'm telling you, the sisters will fall in line, but the men will too. They just have to be educated. They just like information. You know what I'm saying? You have to give them a damn book. You know what I'm saying? And I can give you a book. It's called Anatomy. And then also too, understanding how you work, but also asking questions. I mean, the gynecologist would tell you anything, but we just don't ask. We just want to make sure we're okay because, you know, we've been doing this and doing that or whatever. We don't want to ask too many questions, but we should take that time to ask about our bodies and how we are made. So anyway, so that's that on that.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I'm sure everybody enjoyed the talk, and I just wanted you, from your perspective, to give everybody an understanding from your perspective on why it is important for the female to be put back on her throne.
Okay, what'd you say? Because I think you went
And
out for
not
some
not
reason.
not in the sense of, nobody doing it, but just everybody getting in tune with why it has to come to pass, why it has to be. I mean, it is the natural order of things.
Okay, this is all again. We are living in a time where actually we're at the point of no return, and things are going to change. So once men start changing, they're going to come into a realization. Their consciousness is going to change. And their consciousness is going to be just like mine and yours. Some men just don't understand because they function from what's missing. They don't function from that place of completeness. I have met several guys, or actually talked to or observed several guys that I believe that might be complete. And it has nothing to do with you, looking like, you're a woman or anything like that. You could be a masculine man, but you can still be complete, or whatever the case might be. But once that consciousness comes through, they're going to start thinking differently. But for right now, for the most part, those who carry the wide, they're just wisdom keepers. Wisdom keepers just keep the information, they just keep the knowledge. The woman is ever going. She's this vessel wide open. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, change is here. So that's why everybody has to take their positioning, understand natural hierarchy, divine law, and then step into place, you know what I'm saying, and then just forge forward because we're going to already know what to do. It's already in us. Just like when the baby is born, it already know how to suck on the breast, you know what I'm saying, from the day it comes out. You don't have to teach that child that. It's an automatic response mechanism, and that's what's going to happen now. So that's why. And then all the signs are there. The consciousness come through the woman, so we just have to learn to discern, but also to help her to cultivate herself, and it's going to take inner cultivation. It's going to take us to find what is within us to understand that blueprint and then forge forward, especially the sisters. Because I'm telling you, it's going to
Now,
happen. Go ahead.
yes, and do you have any advice, for the sisters and how they can get in tune with the truth? Because, of course, we will have to lead the way in the restoration of our people. So what can females do to get in tune with the truth, so that they can implement it into their own lives, into the lives of their families, so that we can eventually connect as a community, and move out full fledged? Because, like you said, it's going to start with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
with your own self. So what can the females do, to get in tune with this reality?
Well, like first of all, I mean, I can. Okay, this is for the. Hello, are you there?
Yes, we're
Okay,
here.
first. Okay, first of all, they can come to the retreat and they can learn. But only thing I can say is inner cultivation. Find some type of inner cultivation system to help bring what's within you out. I mean, that's something I do personally or whatever, because again, I do it with everybody. I work with everybody. But the thing is that it's about understanding who you are and understanding your power. And if it starts with knowing how your body works, that's a start, because that's where I went. I had to go there. I had to understand how I work, what was going on in life. I had questions and I asked. And then when I start asking these questions, all these implications start coming through my consciousness. And so I start searching more and more because the thing is, I want to know how I work. You know what I'm saying? So once I understand how I work, then I understood my power. I understood what I can do and how I can forge forward. So again, they can join us at the retreat. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be there and I can actually, just explain some things, but also,
Elaborate on some
yeah,
things.
elaborate and then just basically put it into practice, put it like that. Because I mean,
Yeah.
talking is one thing, and
Practice.
I'm not really a big talker, and you know that, or whatever. I'm not really a
Yeah.
talker. I type a little bit of information, but I just sit back and I just observe everything. But I do talk a lot, with people in my presence, because that's what I prefer.
Hmm.
And you know what I'm saying?
For
It's,
sure.
yeah. So the internet is okay or whatever the case might be, but it's not for everything. Because I mean, we're not
That's
the
right.
only audience here, whatever the case might be. So anyway, so that's that. So if they can join us, you can give them the dates, or it's already posted, whatever the case might be. We can talk more about that or whatever.
Hmm.
But again, everything that I speak about can simply be looked up or researched by just understanding and knowing what anatomy is, anatomy of the female body, not so much the male body, because the male body is going to keep you limited. And I'm not saying that limit, but the extent of who they are is what's available. But if you want to go to the extent of that complete X, you need to go a little bit further and look at that complete X, look at what's missing in you, and then you'll start understanding this picture. And then you're going to start understanding these lies and all kinds of things. So you'll be able to discern differently. You'll be able to live your life fully, you know what I'm saying, by understanding how you work. So that's it. Yeah.
Indeed. Well, we appreciate you guys for joining us and tell the whole damn truth. Return of the Matriarch. We will be having a retreat in December in Punta Gorda, Belize, from December 24th through the 31st. You guys can check out our page on Facebook. It's called Return of the Matriarch. And Monique, we really thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be having these talks more than once a week, brothers and sisters, because
Yes.
we need to know the truth. And for those of us who know the truth, we should be putting it out. We shouldn't keep it all to ourselves because, as a people, we need to be restored. But
Yes.
it's gonna
Beautiful.
it's gonna start. It's gonna begin with the female for sure.
Exactly.
Any last words, Monique?
No, that's it. That's it for now.
All right, indeed. Well, you guys and ladies, you have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you later. Shalom.
Peace.